the stories with Doctor Who. I was opening up, not questioning what was happening or the various environments or characters or beings, just going with it. But that's what Doctor Who did too. Like he'd come upon something and say, oh, this is interesting. He would be open and go with the flow. Not that he knew everything, but then by being open like that, things came to him. He would figure things out.
Listening to your voice, I have a vision of our children running through the rainforest. There's 3 owls that would always hide in the pine trees, and they would sweep us. And so we'd have to be careful if we're on the horses. You can't hear them, so they would just be like ghosts.
Yeah,
we called them the ghost owls. I felt like when you were saying Doctor Who, I can hear them saying that. Doctor Who, who, you know, like an owl. Who is Doctor Who? It's interesting that his name is Doctor Who because who am I? Yeah. So he's a doctor, but he doesn't know who he is.
Exactly.
When we had Doctor Who on TV, it was too scary. I think it was, what machine? It was like a square box or something that he'd go into.
Oh, yeah, it was a phone booth.
Phone booth, like Get Smart. So Get Smart I used to love, but Doctor Who, as soon as I saw his elevator, I was like, I raced to the TV and turned it off because I was too scared. That was the program of what my childhood was. So
yeah.
Dear, my latest invention.
What, a police box?
Of course not.
This is TARDIS.
TARDIS?
It stands for Time and Relative Dimension in Space.
Go inside. Go on.
But it's so big in here, and yet it's so small from outside.
In electrokinetic theory, space expands to accommodate the time necessary to encompass its dimension.
He's a time traveler.
I can now set the controls for anywhere in time and space that we wish to go.
I don't know how you do the magic with the inside of this room, but as far as being somewhere else in the universe...
Next one I'm going to scroll to is the 20th of April, which looks like dancer or a bird. I feel like she's in festival. She's dressed up very ant-shaped. The way her body is, maybe possibly the Queen Ant because of her headdress. It was almost like a celebration point. I can't remember what was going on the 20th of April, but I felt very celebration.
Oh, nice.
Just before the 27th of April.
So you got this, and then that.
The ones previous to this one, like Bob said, you had a few versions of that. Bob's showing us how they're looking at how the 3 spins are going. In the middle one, probably where we were heading at that time frame that was drawn on the triangle, how sharp those ends are. The bottom one looks like how a horse hoof grows and you cut a tree. These bottom 2 are organized, and this is the last spin. The first spin was just downloading. And then it had to go into that tiny little narrow point, which felt like almost painful at the back of your neck sort of thing. That second spin, it goes into a separate porthole before it goes into the 2 big ones. Could be like Doctor Who's, like it has to integrate.
Yeah, it's the decompression chamber.
Yeah, it is the decompression chamber. In the triangle one, you'll see already starting to have a version of the 3rd spin in it. Can you see that? In the it's only half.
Yeah, it's like starting to generate it, but not quite there.
This drawing compared to the before is...
And so different, yeah.
Yeah, so different.
Where does that come from? For me, I mean, you know, when I'm drawing, I say, because I don't necessarily go back and look. I try to just open on what the next blank page is. Like, well, that's a surprise. That's interesting.
Not only does it surprise the viewer, it surprises you as well. And then we go into some really unusual ones. So the 27th of April, almost like a crop circle map. I actually didn't feel like I had anything to do with mass consciousness or astrology. It's sending purely code. It's sending my brain or my body information that I don't need to know what it is. Like you said before, I felt very familiar with that. It felt very like Egyptian, but not Egyptian from ground level, Egyptian from outer space, looking down at where all the spots were. The the 28th of April. You can feel a boot, like we got to
Oh,
walk it
that's-
in, and it's got special tread on the bottom. My gum boots have really nice inner soles in them and really good tread. This is a good sign. So it's us walking it in. 29th of April.
Okay, there's 29th, and where am I? Like, where am I? I'm sitting here when we get into virtual.
I think
there
you've
we
done
go.
really well. Thank you for doing it.
Oh, I'm glad to. I really am. I mean, it's all amazing to me.